Tonight, we begin our journey through some of the world's eeriest urban legends with a chilling tale from Japan. A story that still makes people quicken their steps when they walk alone at night in the dimly lit streets of suburban Japan. Children whisper her name at sleepovers and dare each other to walk home alone after dark. They call her Kachisakana, the slit-mouthed woman. This ghostly figure is said to appear suddenly from the shadows. To the unprepared, she looks like any ordinary woman: long, straight black hair, a fashionable coat, and a surgical mask covering her face. In modern times, a masked stranger hardly raises suspicion. Until she stops you, she'll stand right in your path and softly ask, "Am I beautiful?" Her voice is polite, almost gentle, as if she's shy about asking. Some say her eyes, wide and unblinking, pierce straight through you. If you're polite or just startled, you might nod awkwardly or whisper yes. That's when she reaches for her mask. In one smooth motion, she pulls it down, and you see what lies beneath. From the corners of her mouth all the way up toward her ears, her face is sliced open, forming a hideous, jagged grin that no human should wear. Her teeth glisten wet and sharp under flickering streetlights. She leans closer and asks again. Her voice no longer sweet. "How about now?" Legend says that if you scream no, she pulls out a blade, sometimes a rusty pair of scissors, sometimes a small knife hidden in her sleeve, and cuts you to match her horrific smile. But if you lie and say yes, you're still beautiful, she might follow you home. Some stories say she'll let you go, only to appear by your bed at night, scissors in hand. No one agrees on exactly when this tale began. Some trace it back to the Edo period, centuries ago, when people feared a jealous samurai wife who was punished for her vanity. Others say the modern version exploded in the 1970s, when parents all over Japan panicked after rumors spread of children being chased by a woman in a surgical mask. In 1979, Japanese newspapers actually published warnings. Schools kept students from walking home alone. Sightings popped up in quiet neighborhoods, near school gates, behind convenience stores late at night. People claimed they saw her trailing behind them in alleys or standing under flickering street lamps. Still, always asking that same question. Am I beautiful? The fear grew so real that police officers started patrolling areas where she'd supposedly been seen. Witnesses described her with remarkable consistency. A beautiful woman with long black hair, wearing a beige coat, her face half hidden, behind a plain white mask, something that wouldn't look unusual on the streets of Japan. Even today, parents began telling their children tricks to survive an encounter. Some said you should answer her question with a question, confuse her just long enough to run away. Others believed you could distract her by tossing candy or coins on the ground. Folklore experts claim that giving an ambiguous answer, like "you're average," might puzzle her spirit, buying precious seconds to escape. As decades passed, the panic faded, but the legend never truly died. To this day, some people swear they've seen her shadow slip through quiet suburban neighborhoods. Taxi drivers tell stories of picking up a beautiful woman who vanishes without paying the fare, leaving only a faint metallic scent on the back seat. School children still whisper her name during sleepovers, daring each other to repeat Kachisekana 3 times in front of a mirror, the same way some Western kids dare each other to summon Bloody Mary. What's most chilling about this tale is how easily it fits into modern life. In a city where masks are common and crowded streets empty quickly at night, who's to say that the woman you see crossing the road behind you isn't hiding more than just a cold? Even today, every few years, someone posts an alleged sighting online. Last night, I saw a woman standing by the bus stop at midnight. She didn't move. She just stared. I looked back, and she was gone, urban legend or not. One thing is certain. Once you hear the story of Kachisekana, you'll think twice before stopping for a stranger at night. So, the next time you feel someone watching you from the shadows, ask yourself, if she steps forward, pulls down her mask, and asks you, "Am I beautiful?" what will you say? Sweet dreams. If you can sleep after that, Our next tale drifts through the humid night air of Malaysia and Indonesia, a legend whispered in villages, passed from grandparents to children, and still powerful enough to make people glance nervously at banana trees when the wind rustles. Their leaves, they call her the Pontianak, a restless, bloodthirsty spirit of a woman who died during childbirth. Unlike ordinary ghosts, the Pontianak doesn't just haunt old houses or graveyards. She roams wherever men walk alone at night. She is said to appear as a breathtakingly beautiful woman dressed in white, with long black hair that shimmers like silk under the moonlight. From a distance, she seems harmless, sometimes sitting by the roadside, other times weeping softly under a tree. The closer you get, the more her beauty draws you in. Some say it's a trance you can't break, but if you come too close, you'll notice something strange. A faint, sweet fragrance of frangipani flowers mixed with the coppery hint of blood. Then her eyes meet yours, wide, dark, empty. That's when her true form reveals itself. Her beautiful face twists into a rotting mask of rage. Her fingernails grow into razor-sharp claws. Some stories say she shrieks so loudly your ears ring, long after you run. Others say you don't get the chance. She tears her victims open, feasting on their organs, drinking their blood to feed her endless hunger. Where did she come from? Folklore tells of women who died in pain, wronged, betrayed or abandoned by lovers. Many believe the Pontianak is the spirit of a woman who died while carrying a child she never got to hold. Some say the anger and sorrow transform her into something vengeful, forever cursed to seek revenge on men. Elders speak of signs that a Pontianak is near. Dogs howling at empty spaces. A sudden strong scent of flowers at night when no blooms. Should be open. Banana trees swaying though there's no wind. In rural villages, people hang sharp nails and thorns around their doors. An old belief says if you drive a nail into the top of her head, you trap her in human form, forcing her to become a silent, obedient wife. As grim as that sounds. Some modern sightings keep this legend alive. Taxi drivers in Kuala Lumpur claim to have picked up a beautiful woman late at night, only to find the backseat empty when they reach her destination. Motorcyclists tell tales of hearing crying by the roadside in pitch darkness. When they stop, they see only the swaying banana leaves and smell that haunting perfume. Locals know better than to linger. They warn each other never to whistle. At night, some say it calls the Pontianak straight to your door. Parents hush children who play outside after sunset, reminding them that the Pontianak loves the dark and hates the living. One chilling account tells of a young man who bragged. He didn't believe in ghosts. One night, he walked alone through a narrow village path lined with banana trees. He mocked the tailies, whistled into the night, daring the spirit to show herself. They say he never came home. When villagers found him, his body was torn open, eyes wide in terror. The only clue? The strong scent of frangipani still hung in the air. The Pontianak remains one of Southeast Asia's most enduring urban legends. Part ghost, part vampire, part cautionary tale. She's a reminder that some tragedies never rest, and some spirits never forgive. So, if you ever find yourself walking under moonlit banana trees in Malaysia or Indonesia, and you catch a faint whiff of sweet flowers on the breeze, don't stop, don't turn around, and whatever you do, never, ever whistle in the dark. Asterisk, are you ready for the next story? Brace yourself, because what lurks in the shadows is only just beginning. Our next stop takes us to the heart of modern Beijing, a city of neon lights, endless traffic, and late-night commuters. But hidden beneath the crowded streets and busy bus routes is a ghost story that has haunted this city for decades. Locals call it the Ghost Bus of Beijing, a chilling urban legend about bus 375. Known by many as the midnight bus to nowhere, the story begins on a cold night in November 1995. It was well past midnight on the last bus of route 375 pulled out from the Yuanming stop, a route that normally runs until late evening, carrying tired workers and students back to their neighborhoods. But this particular night, something was different. A handful of passengers were scattered inside the dimly lit bus. Among them, a young man heading home from work, an elderly woman. Clutching a shopping bag, a couple sitting quietly together. The driver stared ahead into the dark road as the bus rattled through the empty streets. At the next stop, the bus slowed down. That's when it happened. Two men boarded the bus, supporting a third figure between them. They were dressed strangely, in long, old-fashioned robes that looked nothing like modern clothes. The man they held up seemed unable to stand on his own. His head drooped down as if he were sleeping, or worse. Passengers began to whisper, who were these men? Why did they look so pale? But no one dared to speak up. The bus continued on, each streetlight flickering through the windows, casting eerie shadows on the walls. One young man, curious but polite, kept glancing back at the trio. He noticed something chilling. Their feet didn't touch the floor. They hovered just an inch above it, swaying gently with each bump in the road. Minutes turned into an hour. The bus rumbled farther and farther from the city center, the streets now pitch black. That's when an old woman suddenly stood up and turned to the young man. She shouted at him, calling him a thief, claiming he'd stolen her purse. Confused and embarrassed, the young man protested. But she grabbed his arm and ordered the driver to stop. They got off at the next stop, the bus doors closing behind them with a hiss. As soon as the bus pulled away, the old woman dropped her act. She looked him dead in the eyes and whispered, "I saved your life." Those men were not alive, and neither was the one they were holding, when the young man looked back down. The road, the bus had already vanished into the night. Some say it never reached its final stop. Others say the next morning. Police found the bus submerged in the Miyun Reservoir miles away, with no sign of the driver or passengers, except 3 bloated bodies dressed in old ceremonial robes. Via official report, authorities claimed the driver lost control and drove into the water. But for years, people have whispered that the bus never sank by accident. It was the final ride for whoever dared to share the road with restless spirits. Since then, late-night commuters in Beijing swap stories about ghost passengers, strange shadows reflected in bus windows, and phantom stops that don't appear on any map. Some swear that if you board the last bus on Route 375 alone, you might feel a cold breath on your neck, or glimpse someone you didn't see get on. Taxi drivers know better. Many avoid following any bus that looks half empty and runs later than scheduled. They say if you ever see bus 375 glide past you long after midnight, you should turn away, cross the street, and never look back. The story of the ghost bus has become more than an urban legend. It's a warning. In a city as fast as Beijing, sometimes it's better to wait for the next bus. Or better yet, call a taxi and pray you don't see flickering headlights behind you, chasing you down the empty roads. So next time you find yourself at a lonely bus stop long after midnight, listen carefully to the wheels coming down the street, watch who boards with you. And if you ever see passengers floating an inch above the floor, get off at the next stop if you can. Asterisk, are you ready for the next legend? Stay with me. Our next ghost waits on an ancient English road, and it's not the living you'll fear. Now we leave the neon streets of Beijing behind and step into the damp, windswept countryside of England, a place where mist clings to ancient churchyards and narrow roads twist through dark forests. This is the land of the Black Dog of Bungay, one of Britain's oldest and most sinister ghostly beasts. Some say he's just a folktale to scare children into coming home before dark. But others claim they've seen the creature with their own eyes and live to whisper its name in hushed voices. The legend dates back hundreds of years, but its most famous tale took place on a stormy Sunday morning in the small market town of Bungay, Suffolk, in 1577. Church bells were ringing. Rain pounded the roof of St. Mary's Church as thunder rolled across the English countryside. Inside, the townsfolk huddled together in prayer, hoping the raging storm would pass. But then, in a deafening clap of thunder, the church doors burst open, and in ran a monstrous black hound. its eyes burning red like coals, its fur soaked and bristling with sparks. Witnesses claimed the beast bounded down the nave, snarling and howling, its breath like sulfur. Panic erupted. People fell to their knees, certain the devil himself had arrived. In the chaos, the hound lunged at a man and a boy, striking them, dead where they knelt. Some say their necks were twisted by an invisible force. Others swear claw marks were burned into their flesh dot as quickly as it came. The beast vanished into the storm, leaving scorch marks on the stone floor, marks that, according to some, can still be seen in St. Mary's Church to this day. On that same day, just miles away in Blythburgh Church, villagers claimed the same black dog appeared again. There, it tore through the congregation, and as lightning struck the church spire, it left deep claw marks on the north door. Locals still point to those blackened scratches and call them the devil's fingerprints. Over time, the black dog of Bungay became more than a single terrifying event. He turned into an omen, a phantom hound said to stalk lonely travelers on moonlit roads and misty footpaths. Some say he pads silently behind you until you turn and see nothing. But if you glimpse him directly, it means only one thing. Death is close behind. Not all black dogs in English folklore are evil. In other parts of Britain, tailies speak of black dogs that guard graveyards or guide lost travelers to safety. But the Bungay hound is no friendly guardian. He's a reminder that even places of sanctuary can be breached by something darker than any storm. Centuries later, the legend lives on. Walk the quiet lanes around Bungay on a foggy night, and you might hear soft panting or the click of claws on wet cobble stuff. Dog walkers claim their pets freeze, staring at something their owners can't see. Local pubs still tell visitors the tale, especially on stormy nights when thunder shakes the windows. Some skeptics say the legend was born from a real tragedy. That lightning struck the church during the storm, killing people inside and fearful. Villagers turned it into a devil hound's attack. But believers insist the scorch marks tell the truth. A beast from the underworld left them there as a warning. Whatever you choose to believe, one thing is certain. England's lonely roads have birthed countless black dog legends. They appear and vanish in graveyards, on coastal cliffs, and under ancient bridges. The black dog of Bungay is simply the most feared of them all. So next time you walk a quiet English lane and feel the hair on your neck rise. Remember the story of that stormy morning in 1577? If you hear soft growls in the fog or glimpse too, red eyes glowing in the hedge, don't run. Pray you never see him at all. Because if your fate may already be sealed. Asterisk ready to face the next legend. Gather your courage, for what lurks in the shadows of the Alps is no stray animal, but a Christmas demon waiting for naughty souls. You might think winter is the season of cozy fires, warm cocoa, and cheerful carols drifting through snowy towns. But hidden among the twinkling lights of Europe's Christmas markets is a far older, darker figure, one who turns the holiday spirit into something to fear. Meet Krampus, the horned demon of Alpine. Folklore who punishes the wicked when Santa won't. For centuries, families in Austria, Germany, and other parts of Central Europe have whispered his name to frighten misbehaving children into obedience. Forget lumps of coal. If you're naughty when Krampus comes, you might not make it to New Year's at all. Picture him, half goat, half demon, with twisted horns curling from his forehead, fur as black as the winter night, and eyes that gleam like hot embers. Heavy chains clatter around his body, a symbol of his bondage to darker forces. From his belt hang bells that jingle not with joy, but as a warning. In one clawed hand he carries a bundle of birch branches, switches for whipping bad children. In the other, a sack or basket big enough to carry the worst offenders away. The story goes that every December 5th, the night before St. Nicholas Day, Krampus emerges from the shadows, trailing St. Nick as he visits village homes, while St. Nicholas rewards the good with gifts, sweets, and warm wishes. Krampus does his work in the dark corners, rattling doors, scratching windows, hunting for the children who lied, stole, or disobeyed their parents. If you're lucky, He'll only beat you with his birch switches. If you're not, he'll stuff you screaming into his sack and drag you back to his lair in the frozen mountains. Or worse, toss you into the underworld where you'll never be seen again. This chilling tale has roots far older than Christmas itself. Historians believe Krampus comes from ancient pagan traditions meant to ward off evil spirits during the long, dark nights of winter. When Christianity spread through Europe, the church tried to banish the demon. But Krampus refused to die, he simply adapted, slipping into the role of St. Nicholas' dark companion. Today, Krampus is far from forgotten. In fact, he's more alive than ever. Each December, alpine villages erupt into wild celebrations, called Krampusnacht. Krampus Night. Young men don terrifying, hand-carved masks with snarling fangs and long red tongues, dress in shaggy goat skins, and roam the streets rattling chains and swinging switches. Torchlit processions wind through narrow streets as crowds gather to watch the parade of beasts. Children scream and laugh in equal measure as the costumed Krampuses chase them through the snow. It's half festival, half exorcism, a way to remember that winter is not all warm fires and sugar cookies, but also the season of deep darkness, when monsters creep closest to our doors. Some say these parades are harmless fun. Others swear they've seen something that felt too real. A pair of glowing eyes peering at them from behind an old barn. Or clawed footprints left in fresh snow long after the masks have been put away. One old legend even claims that if you hear chains dragging through the woods outside your home on Krampusnacht, you should keep your fire burning bright and your doors locked tight, because sometimes the real Krampus walks among the masked ones, hidden in plain sight, sniffing out the souls that St. Nick refuses to claim. So, this winter, when you hang your stockings and light your tree, remember, Christmas wasn't always just cozy cheer and jingling bells. Somewhere in the shadows beyond the warm candlelight, Krampus waits with a grin full of fangs and a sack big enough for every secret. Sin you thought no one saw.